Hey guys, and welcome back to Battlefront Updates. In this video I wanted to do another kind of rambling video, I guess, just put some gameplay in the background. You guys seem to enjoy them, and this is the kind of stuff, again, that I do a lot in my live streams, but not everyone watches live streams, so I think it's fair to do some videos on the similar topics here every now and then. I know I did a video like this about half a year ago or something in 2018, but I don't know, I just wanted to discuss it again with the updated information we have about this game and other thoughts that's popped up in my head and things like that. So I hope you guys don't mind seeing a similar discussion with updated information, basically. And what I wanted to talk about today was the future of Battlefront. And I'm not just talking about Battlefront 2, but Star Wars Battlefront as a franchise and brand. Does it have a future? Does it not? It's hard to say. After the launch of Battlefront 2, I think most of us thought, no, this franchise is dead, killed now, and there's no way to repair that. But it's, as much as there's been a lot of issues this year with delayed content, bugs, all that kind of stuff, the last few months have been really good for the game, and its reputation has definitely gone up a lot since the launch with, you know, Geonosis, Obi-Wan, Dooku, Grievous and all that kind of stuff, which shows that even with the launch of Battlefront 2, it's not completely over yet, I hope. Because if there is one word I would still use to describe Battlefront 2, it's potential. It's the kind of game that would have been or could have been the game that receives constant monthly updates, basically like the ones we've got in the last 2-3 months, but throughout since the launch, basically. And the game that people come back to all the time, and that gets basically everything that people want, you know. So we're talking server browser, more maps, more characters, weapons, events, game modes, you know, all that kind of stuff that a game that has the support of, well, I don't want to say Fortnite, but you know, a game that has a lot of players and it gets money somehow, whether that's from expansion packs, microtransactions, something that generates constant money. That's something that I think all of us wanted to see from the launch, but obviously with the monetization model they went with at launch, that didn't work out. So I still think that Battlefront has potential. The question is just, are we talking Battlefront 2 or are we talking new Battlefront games? And that's kind of where my head is at right now, because I don't think this game, Battlefront 2, is gonna be that game, to be honest, because of the simple fact that the foundation just isn't there for them to make money. A lot of people might say, oh, well, there's skins, they can support the game with these skins. Realistically, no, they can't. Just look at how little skins they released. That's not because they don't want to make money. That's most likely because they realize they won't be making any money from this game, or not any decent money at least. Both because there's already so much credits in the game so that old players never need to pay real money, and because there might just not be enough players in the game right now. And most importantly, something that I think a lot of people forget, the fact that if you buy a skin for, let's say, a hero, for instance, how often are you gonna see that? If you're like an average to bad player who won't get the hero every Galactic Assault match? Well, not a lot. Very little, to be more specific, actually, unless you play arcade, which I don't think a lot of people do. Maybe in Heroes vs Villains you'll see it every now and then, but overall you will see it a lot less than if you were to buy a skin in Overwatch or Fortnite or PUBG or anything like that. Because if you buy a skin there, you will see it all the time. Even if you buy a faction skin here, that's still only 1 in 6 chance that you will be able to see that skin. So there are flaws to the whole system of buying skins, because it probably means a lot less people want to do it. And on top of the credits problem as well, means that they've probably realized they can't make any decent money from this game, and they can't go back to selling expansion packs or DLCs either, because, well, they promised free content. So they're kind of stuck in something where I would imagine that all they're doing right now is basically fan service, trying to repair the EA Star Wars brand the best they can, and Battlefront in particular, considering that it does not have the best reputation in the community. So how long this game is going to be supported, I don't know. It could be just to February if we're unlucky, it could be to the summer, it could be to episode 9. We really don't have any hints, because they said in, I think it was November, that the game will be supported beyond February in 2019, and then they hope to get the roadmap up before Christmas, and then we have not heard a word about that roadmap, which is really worrying. No hints towards what might be coming after February, so at this point I don't really know what to expect, so I'm not really sure. I think it's more going to be the fact that they will try to keep this game alive and for goodwill for the community and maybe make it tie into Fallen Order, and once they kind of stop supporting this game, people will play Fallen Order and then we'll see what arrives after that. So the question then is, so what about Battlefront again? Will Battlefront live on? A lot of people keep asking me, what do you think is going to be in Battlefront 3? Do you think there will be a Battlefront 3? And I don't really know. I don't think with the current content available in the Star Wars universe and in this game that a Battlefront 3 is warranted, at least not as a $60 AAA product, because what can they do? They have covered most important parts in all 3 eras now. Sure, there's a lot of Clone Wars stuff they can do, but they can't do a fully fledged Clone Wars game, at least I don't think so, and then call it Battlefront 3, and it will still have enough new content for people to want to pay $60 for it. I don't think that's possible. Sure, there are that, and then of course they could do like Space to Ground, fully fledged galactic conquest. There are things out there for a Battlefront 3 potentially, but I am still a little bit skeptical towards that, and I think it's more likely, if they want to do Battlefront games, that it would be something with a subtitle. So let's say Battlefront The Mandalorian, or Battlefront whatever Rian Johnson's new trilogy will be called. Something that will take a completely new part of the Star Wars universe, and by not calling it Battlefront 3, they won't be locking themselves as much into a corner as they have with the first games, because they're obviously compared to the original Battlefront 1 and 2. But then there were things like Battlefront Renegade Squadron before, and that worked out well. Why not do the same now? But then another question is, what should be called Battlefront and what shouldn't be called Battlefront, and do they benefit from using that name? Of course, I'm a little bit biased because my channel is called Battlefront Updates, so I'd love to get more Battlefront games, but realistically, if they do a Mandalorian game, would you want it to be called Battlefront? Would that sell less or more copies just by putting the word Battlefront there and then Mandalorian? That's a question I don't really know. It would definitely cater to the Battlefront community, which, as much as it had a rough launch, is still pretty big based on a lot of different factors, just looking at like battlefrontstats.com, for instance. So it could be beneficial, it could not be beneficial, it's really hard to say, and I don't really know. It depends also, of course, on how similar the game is to Battlefront in its core. If it is a shooter, if it has like larger scale battles, in that case it does sound like Battlefront. But if it's something else where you play like a lone Mandalorian, obviously, and you do like solo missions and stuff, that doesn't sound like Battlefront to me. So it's really tricky. And what they also could do is more like smaller games, where, because I think one problem with this game has been that they added too much at launch in terms of different parts, where it was one studio doing space battles, one doing campaign, one doing shooting, as well as hero combat, and they simply couldn't keep up to supporting all of those parts in the post-launch without having all of those studios still working on it. So, for instance, something I would have loved to see would be a Battlefront game that was focused around heroes versus villains. They already have all the assets now for all the heroes and villains, but I would love a better hero combat system. For instance, where the lightsaber combat would be completely revamped from the ground and things like that. And then they can reuse all these assets that they already have done with the voice acting, with the visuals, and then maybe add a couple of more characters and then sell that for less than $60. I don't know, $30 or something like that. There's a lot of opportunities to do things like that, because then they could focus on that solely. But I'm not sure if that would be called Battlefront then either, like Battlefront Heroes vs. Villains, or would it be just called Star Wars Heroes vs. Villains? That would actually work as a title as well, you know? It doesn't have to be Battlefront. So I am a little bit split regarding this entire discussion, and I feel again like there is a lot of potential for a Battlefront game to be the perfect Battlefront game, and I'm not really sure how to reach there, because as I said, I don't think they can make this game become that game, because they don't make enough money from it to support with so many developers that it would require. But if they made a new game like Battlefront 3 that would be the Battlefront, would that have enough new content to warrant that? I don't know. Maybe if they do some other games now, like Fallen Order and the other rumored games that Kotaku has been talking about, and then they do a Battlefront 3 where they have all 3 eras, and they've got new content from either The Mandalorian or the new trilogy, or something that adds a completely new part. A bit like they went from First one was original trilogy, second one added prequel and sequel trilogy. What if they did the same thing, but then they added another one? And then the question is, would it be possible to put that much content in the game, like everything from Battlefront 2, porting that over, making it change to whatever Battlefront 3 could be, and then adding the new era? It's really tricky. I can understand that the higher ups at DICE and EA, they probably don't know what to do either, because I don't know what the ideal thing would be, because a lot of people just don't think about the business part of it or the game development part of it. But we'll just take everything from Battlefront 1 and 2 and slap it in a new game and then add more content. Easy peasy. Unfortunately, that's not how game development works. As much as it's definitely easier to reuse the assets, like especially if you have models and stuff done, it's still not just a 1-1 copied over and it will work. So maybe all that Battlefront really needs is a break before a potential Battlefront 3 where more Star Wars content will be out, or make other Battlefront games with subtitles, so to say. That's kind of where I'm leaning towards right now. I don't think the best idea now would be to say, we're done with Battlefront 2, we're working on Battlefront 3, it's coming out in 2020 or 2021. I don't think that's the best way to do it, but I don't know, there might be a lot of things I've forgotten here. There are still, like I said, big stuff that they have not yet covered. Like for instance, I just realized that they could literally call a game Star Wars Battlefront Galactic Conquest, and then make, like, we're talking a proper Galactic Conquest here, where they can use a lot of stuff from this game in terms of the planets and stuff, but then build, like, sure, Galactic Conquest was pretty good in the originals, but it was very bare bones. It was basically just a skin around the normal matches. So what if you make that more in-depth, where like a proper customization, where the matches will be affected by different variables and things like that? I think that could definitely work. And it's something people have asked for the last two games, a fully fledged Galactic Conquest. I think that could also be another idea. But I don't know, Battlefront 3 or Battlefront Galactic Conquest, which one would work? Maybe both, maybe one. I'm not really sure. But I do think for sure that now that they've built up such a big asset bank, if they don't support Battlefront 2 forever or for many more years, don't let it go to waste. Don't be afraid to use that, as long as you either price the games cheaper or add enough new content on top of the old content so that people won't mind. Because Star Wars is Star Wars. It is not an infinite universe with infinite characters and planets that people will care about. So reusing characters and planets, it makes sense, but as long as you do it in a good way. That's basically my standpoint right now. But I would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. What do you think? Future of Battlefront 2? Future of the Battlefront franchise? Battlefront 3? Battlefront subtitles? No more Battlefronts? What's the best way? For me, the Battlefront franchise and game type still has a lot of potential left, untapped potential, but that might just be me. Alright, thank you guys very much for watching, and as always, may the Force be with you.